right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Masks of Nyarlathotep. This is, I believe, session 17, is it? Yes, this is session 17, our third one in England. So, where we left off, it was a late Thursday night on, let's go back to our little calendar here. That was Thursday, February 5th. There was a little late night intrusion on Natalya's restful or restless sleep. And then it is the morning, and we will say that you are all gathering for your what is now becoming, I guess, a traditional breakfast downstairs in the hotel dining. But Alice is not there. And the plan was that you were going to meet Alice at the Scoop, the newspaper offices. Probably, I don't know what time you guys agreed on. Probably, I think you said pretty early, like maybe 9 o'clock.
I think a bit later because Thaddeus doesn't wake up until 10.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
All
It's
right.
probably right around 10 right now.
All right. 11 then. So, it is a fairly quiet morning. I would imagine, thankfully, to most of you, there is no rain outside right now. There's a damp feel, and it is cold this morning, but there is no rain falling down.
And Natalya kind of gets to the usual breakfast table. Probably by now they've picked out one that they constantly use. She looks a little bit haggard. There's a few wrinkles in her clothing. Her hair is in ponytails slightly askew, still pulled back. She's got these large bags underneath her eyes, but besides her usual files and notebook on top, she has what looks to be a handwritten note, few leaflets of paper. She sits down heavily at the breakfast table, eyes a bit downcast, starts to kind of pick at things, seems to be looking for the other two to show up.
Shelley probably comes down next. She walks into the dining room, and she stops for a minute when she sees it's just Natalya at the table. She looks behind her, sort of hesitating, and then she just shakes her head and continues walking toward the table. Pulls out a seat, sits down. She was kind of avoiding eye contact with Natalya at first, but noticing her obvious haggard appearance, she kind of does a second take and then looks at her with a little bit more concern. Are you feeling quite well this morning?
Natalya just looks over to Shelley. Those tired eyes, they're a bit strained. She's been closely reading notes and such for the last few hours, a little bit red. She hands Shelley a few different leaflets of paper. They look freshly written. I could not sleep last night. These are just some notes and things that I remember on the trip to Peru. Other things I remembered. I thought it might be pertinent for you to maybe look at them, see if you can maybe understand a little bit more from where I'm coming from. I understand we don't quite see eye to eye quite yet, and though I have expressed annoyance, and I will not hide that, I think it is because you have not seen as much as Thaddeus or I. I am hoping that this helps explain why I think the way I do.
Shelley reaches across the table and takes the papers and pulls them over and glances at them and then looks up. Yes, this has been much on my mind. I mean, obviously the details of your past experiences interest me, but I'm speaking more of, I don't know what to call it, a disagreement or just the tension. Anyway, I've been thinking about it, and I might have expressed things poorly. I really do respect you, Natalya, and if I didn't, I would just nod and smile and agree with everything. You know what I mean? I'm really only honest with people that I do respect. And she says, and I was thinking, you've heard the story, or maybe you haven't. I don't know. You're from Russia. Do they tell the story about the blind men and the elephant there?
Yet, I have not heard this.
Oh, it's just an analogy, but it's very quickly. The story goes, there's 6 blind men, and they're all feeling around an elephant and trying to figure out what it is, and one feels the tail and says, oh, it's a snake. And one feels the ears and says, oh, it's a bat. And you know what I mean. They each touch a different body part, and their take on what it is different according to what they're feeling. One says the elephant is like a spear because he feels the tusk. I won't bore you by going on and on, but it came to me the other night. It's like us. We're blind, and we're feeling our way around a situation that's so alien. It's nearly incomprehensible. So I hope that you see what I meant was not that I don't count what you say is true, but that if we're to get the whole elephant, I hope you'll respect what I come to observe as well, so that we can really get a full picture.
Natalia nods and smiles a bit at Shelley, looking up to her, still with tired eyes, and takes her left hand and rubs it against the underside of her eye. Shuffles a bit. No, it is good to have skepticism. It makes me look into things harder. Makes me try to prove what I'm trying to say, to find new connections. I do appreciate you, Shelley. And I know that we need you on this trip and this investigation. I apologize for snapping at you. It was inappropriate. I am just been very on edge lately.
Well, that's more than understandable. Thank you. I'm glad we've cleared the air somewhat. And I'm so glad you took the time to write this down. I'll give it my full attention as soon as I can. Maybe even start reading on the ride over to the journalists. Oh, when do you think Thaddeus is going to make his way down?
I'm not sure.
There's a waiter
yes?
standing there. Yes, he says, Pardon me, madams, but Mr. Pepin asked me to pass on to you that he was running late and would meet you after breakfast.
Of course. Thank you very much. I guess we'll start now then.
Very good.
Oh, suppose. You may be having a liquid breakfast.
Of course. It is like him.
Well, Shelley will put in a simple order, something that, that can be prepared and eaten fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same with Natalya.
Okay. The service is fairly quick.
And afterwards, I'm assuming we'll just go up to Thaddeus's room, see if he's awake, ready to go.
All right. Is Thaddeus in the room?
Thaddeus is actually, when you exit the restaurant area, he'd be sitting down, waiting for them to exit.
I'm surprised you made it all the way down here by yourself.
Yes, now I've seen you two having a quick conversation. Figured I would just wait and look out this window. It's quite interesting.
Of course. And I'm assuming you had absolutely nothing for breakfast?
You are assuming wrong. Of course I had breakfast.
And what was it exactly?
It was a nice rice soup. Really try it. It's very delicious.
You know, Thaddeus, I already have one child. I really don't want to have another. But if you need me to mother you, I will take on that responsibility.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of time to eat later. I've never been a huge breakfast fan.
Sure. Well, since you've had your rice soup, we might as well get going. Don't want to be late and keep Alice waiting.
All right. It's very easy to get a passing cab. The doorman hails one for you. And you are running a tad late. Not too much. So the scoop, so remember you are located here. And the scoop is located here. So you take a wee journey, like so, past Charing Cross Station there, and over past King's College, Royal Courts of Justice. So you're seeing lots of interesting sights. The cabbie makes small talk, saying you all are Yanks.
Yes.
Says, what brings you over here? There's no war going on. Thought you blokes were just supposed to come over and mop up.
Yeah, this time we decided to come a little bit early. Enjoying a nice scenery.
And he says, you look a little too fine to be in uniform.
Well, everybody serves their purpose, I'm sure, but mine, and he looks down at himself, mine is definitely not for being in a uniform, charging across fields, I assure you.
Can't say as I blame you, sir. And there is the scoop. And I assume Alice is there, probably, would you agree, a little early, maybe?
Yeah, she's not one to arrive late.
Yeah, so she's probably sitting, there's a bench outside the scoop offices. She's probably just sitting there. And you see cab pull up, and everyone gets out.
Of course, Thaddeus would tip the cab driver handsomely.
Mm-hmm. Since it's a handsome cab.
Mm-hmm.
Alice gives you three a faint smile as you exit the cab. Good morning. I was afraid that you would be much later, honestly. And she kind of looks at Thaddeus for a moment.
Oh, and what would make you think that? Quite early now, I would think.
It is. It just seemed you all were so unsure of when you would be available to meet today. However, I am thankful it is on the earlier end of the day.
Yes, Thaddeus needs his beauty sleep.
Yes, as you could tell, I have not gotten enough of it lately.
Alice kind of chuckles. I haven't gone in and yet, but I was wondering if I could have gotten like the editor's name. If that would be possible.
It was actually right in the article. Mickey Mahoney. Right on the paper.
Okay. And would I have been able to confirm that he's actually in the office today?
You had, if you recall, you had called the evening before from your flat to try to talk to him, and they had said that he would be in the morning. We
Okay.
can catch him
That
pretty
works.
much any morning.
Yeah. Well, are you three ready to meet Mr. Mahoney, or was there anything you felt we needed to discuss beforehand?
I think the only thing we really need to discuss is what exactly we're going to ask him, besides his findings into these deaths, that he knows exactly some of the key elements of how they died, that kind of thing, but I have... What is it, Shelley? Sorry.
Oh, just his relationship to Elias, and perhaps there might be something else that some more light he can shed on what Elias was investigating.
Yes, that's a great idea. I think this man at least, well, hopefully not to pull him in too deep to what we're looking into, get him in too much trouble. Maybe see if we can meet him outside of this place, if things get a bit too much on the sensitive side.
Well, I know we just had breakfast. We could offer to take him to lunch, though. Or... his office may be private enough. I suppose we just have to find out.
Yes, no, we won't know until we see him.
Unless we have anything further to discuss, we might as well cross the threshold and meet this man.
All right. Head inside then. And it's a rather small little newspaper. There's only, it looks like maybe 3 people employed on the shop floor, and there's clearly an office in the back with the door open, and a man sitting in the desk. In his little office, you can see is kind of eclectic. The picture here is sort of representative of what his office is, how it's decorated. The office itself out front, the shop floor, is much more practical there's a huge press that occupies one corner of it, and so clearly they do all their work here. This cannot be a very large newspaper with too big of a readership.
Thaddeus, maybe you better
And actually, when you walk in, almost one of the people that's writing kind of glances up at you and then completely ignores you.
Yes, it might be best for you to make introductions here, Thaddeus.
throw your wallet around per se.
Yes, the mighty Wallen. Let's go and look around. And, not wanting to interrupt the busy report. He's gonna try to find someone that kind of looking like they're not as, or if there's a receptionist somewhere of some sort.
But there's no receptionist, no.
Okay. So there's to go up the. Excuse me.
There's a man who's in the middle of typing something, and when you say excuse me, he just quickly puts his finger up without even looking at you, like 1 minute. He finishes typing out his thing, and then he kind of smiles with a satisfied smile, and whips the paper out of the typewriter and kind of gives it a quick look over, and he's kind of nodding to himself, and then he puts it on the table and says, yes, what can I do for you?
Yes, I'm looking for a Mr. Mahoney.
He's the editor. He'd
Yes.
be in his office. He's expecting you.
Is he expecting me?
Well, makes no matter. Just go knock on the door. He'll let you in.
And he's
Hey!
gonna kind of like look a little wide-eyed.
Mick! He yells out. He says, someone here to see you.
Well, let him in!
And you can see a gentleman kind of peering out at you from his office.
That is gonna look at Natalya. Apparently they're kind of informal around here.
Yes. It's a good thing we called then.
There's that is gonna look over at the office. I guess we should go on in.
Yes. You lead the way.
That is gonna turn and start walking towards the office.
So you walk into his office, you push the door open kind of hesitantly, just because of how informal all of this is. There's no one to greet you, no one that said, go ahead, enter. Nothing of any kind of formality that you're used to. You kind of push the door open. It gives just a little bit of a squeak on the hinges as you push it open and you walk in. You walk in, and with the sound of the printing press behind you and some clacking of a typewriter from the person that was out there working, you see a man sitting behind the desk, and he's sitting behind the desk. He's somewhat large, overweight. He's got a bit of a mustache and some chops coming down, his hair slicked back somewhat. And he's looking down at some papers. As you walk in, he looks up at you. Well, you weren't what I was expecting. Who are you folk? Well, speak up.
We're just some Yanks who happen to be in England at some precarious times, it seems.
We're
Yank,
associates.
you say?
We're associates of Mr. Jackson Elias.
And when you say Jackson's name, the man behind the desk, his eyes get wide, and he gives a slight nod a couple of times. And he stands up from behind his desk and pushes himself away. And he walks around and just leans against the side of the desk. You knew Mr. Elias.
Yeah, that we did.
Well, we're all sorry to hear about his loss. Well, about your loss and the loss of his life. I read about it in the papers. I get a few different journals, a few different papers from overseas, from all around, and it came as quite a shock to me.
Yes, it was a deep travesty. That is actually why we're here.
You're here because of a travesty.
No,
Well, I don't quite understand, I guess.
let me attempt to explain better. We are following some of the leads that Elias has left. Some of the contacts that he's with, we are reaching out to in order to better understand his journey. And Jackson told Miss Hall here, Natalya gestures over to Alice, to get put into contact with you if she ever wanted to contact Jackson.
And then Mickey looks over at Alice. He gave you my name, did he? Well, what is it then? What can I help you with?
We had a few questions, actually, about one of your recent newspaper articles, the slaughters that are going on right now in the city. We're wondering if you can give us more information on those.
And Mickey, he looks somewhat confused and he brings his hand up to his face as to kind of take his index finger and his thumb and press it over his chin. He's thinking, you're talking about slaughters in this place. You're going to have to be a little more specific than that, lass.
The Egyptian murders, she says, and pulls out the newspaper and indicates the article.
The Egyptian murders? That was something... Well, honestly, that was something Elias was interested in. He asked me some questions about it. You know, I put something on there. It's the scoop. You know, we've got all the best headlines, and people love to read all this. It's all very sordid, but Elias seemed to really take an interest in this. As a matter of fact, I can't tell you why. Really, I don't know what he was looking for. And as far as the Egyptian murders go, well, that's just one headline amongst a sea of headlines that I've posted. I couldn't really tell you a whole lot about it other than what you've already read, maybe. I'd have to go look back at some of the notes and papers I've taken. I don't know that I could tell you quite a whole lot about it. Like I said, Elias, he seemed to take a real liking to this story too. Maybe I'm onto something. Maybe I should revisit this. You think there's something here? You think there's maybe some interest in this?
Oh, well, you know how everything Egyptian is in vogue right now. It certainly wouldn't hurt. But we really don't know anything about this article. We don't even know who was killed, who it's referring to.
Well, I'd have to, like I said, go back to look at some of my notes. That's going to take a little bit of time. I mean, I could get in touch with you as soon as I find out, but like I said, it's going to take a little effort on my part. What would I be doing this for?
Besides the fact of looking into something that, and to finish some of Jackson's work, as this pertains to what he was looking into and some of his writings. I shall look over to Thaddeus.
Ah, yes. Not only that, but there should be some monetary value, I assure you. Nobody works for free.
And he reaches into his desk and he pulls out a chewed-on cigar. He pulls it out and he sticks it in his mouth, just kind of gnawing on it. You, sir, are absolutely correct. No one works for free. No truer word has been spoken.
Mm-hmm, that is for sure. The question is, how much? And of course, I would think that'd be depending on what you can give us in return. Yeah, I'm assuming wrong there. But
I know a few people. I know people who can get things done. I know people who can get into different places, different corners around this city that you blokes might not be able to get into. That all costs just a little bit of money, though. I would have to go ahead and pay my contacts. There's overhead. He's tapping his lips and his chin while he's looking up and saying all of this. I'd have to cover the resources. I'd have to take care of this and that. And he's just kind of naming off a laundry list of expenses that would be involved in reopening this story. This is something that Jackson was interested in. I was willing to pay him to get the scoop, if you see what I did there. To get the scoop so that I could print this on my paper and bring the readership in. They love this kind of thing. But I'm going to be doing the work here, so that takes this into account. He's, again, counting up costs in his head. I think 100 pounds.
100, you say?
Well, I mean, if that's too hard a bargain for you, 50 pounds.
50 pounds, you say?
I mean, if that's too much for you, I mean, I understand. It's a penny. It's a pretty penny, of course, and you are just Yanks. And no offense, but all right. This is my final offer, and you won't get a better deal. 40 pounds.
Oh, Dez kind of lean forward, scratch his chin as he's staring at him. Look over at Natalya. 40 pounds, he says.
I know. But I mean, yeah, for the information that we're going to get them, that's a good deal, I think.
We may have a hard time come up with 40 pounds, I would think.
Well, unless you can come up with 40
I suppose.
pounds, and he kind of walks back around to his side of the desk and sits down with a thud. 40 pounds is my final offer.
Well, guess that's very steep, and I guess you're right. 40 pounds. It's quite a bit of money.
But it is worth it, is it not?
My
It
mother
is.
can probably go without her medical treatment for a month.
Yeah, then there's poor Betty and her one leg.
All right, 35 pounds, and that's it. I can't go any lower, but I also can't see an old woman going without her medical treatment.
Or her leg.
I'm not a monster.
Darius is gonna scratch his head for a minute. So, if I'm to gather this correct, and he's gonna think, roll up, and he's gonna put his finger in his ear. By opening this door, you stand to gain a boon. And puts you on another boon. And of course, old lady's medicine money and stuff. Yeah, okay. You got yourself a deal at 35 pounds.
And he claps his hands together and pushes the chair away from the desk and sits up and puts his hand out to shake yours.
They stand up and give his hand a shake. Of course, this is all contingent. We need the product first.
Of course, of course. I'll get you your product. You don't have to worry about that. We're all very crack investigators here. At least we know some crack investigators. They'll get you the product that we'll give to you. Any case, and he's chewing on his cigar the whole time he's saying this. 35 pounds. You have a deal.
And I hope there's some haste in all this. I mean, 35 pounds is a lot of money.
I'll put my top investigator on it right now. And he yells past you out the door. Jonesy! Jonesy! Come here!
The man that was writing before gets up from his desk and comes in with a glass with some colored liquid in it, and comes into the office and leans on the door frame. And now the office is fairly crowded. And he says, "What is it, Mickey?" while taking a drink. And
Jonesy, you remember that case we were working on, the slaughter, the Egyptian murders? That's what it was. The Egyptian murders.
of course I remember it, Mickey. It's the biggest story we've run. And he kind of winks at you, Natalya.
Yes, well, I need everything we have on it. I need it as soon as possible. These are very important people from the U.S. that have come to see us, and they need this information. So as soon as you can bring that up, the happier these people will be. It's a big deal, Jonesy. Get to work. Snap, snap.
You also wanted me to write that article, so are you going to pay me overtime? Maybe 10 quid?
And he gets up from his desk and walks over. He gets up from his desk and walks over. Jonesy, you know I'm good for it. Don't put me on the spot right now.
Oh, I know you have it. I know you have it, Mickey. Come on. 10 quid. So you don't.
Very well, Jonesy.
So you don't forget.
It's all yours.
So you don't forget.
10 quid. You'll see it in your next check. I promise.
How about I see it in my hand right now?
Jonesy.
Just so you don't forget, Mickey. Not that you've ever forgotten before, mind you.
And Mickey walks back to his desk and he gives everyone kind of a sheepish look and turns his back and bends down at the bookcase behind him, and you see him kneel down behind the bookcase, and you hear some rustling as he's down there.
He says, "Good God, man, I just saw you put the money in your pocket. You're not fooling anyone."
He stands back up with his back facing the group. Very well, Jonesy. And he turns around, pulls money out of his pocket, and walks up to Jonesy and puts it in his palm. Now get to work.
I'm always working, Mickey. Always working.
I know you are, Jonesy.
And he...
my best investigator, folks. My best investigator.
And then he winks at the ladies and leaves the room again.
Yeah, Talia gives him a bit of a wave before he leaves. It seems you have very dedicated people in your employ, Mr. Mahoney.
Well, all good things start at the top. I'm a good employer, so they're good employees. It all kind of runs downhill. Don't you agree?
Of course. You seem like one of the best.
The very best. Of course. That's why they're all still here.
Well, it's good to know that this is all in your good hands. And thank you so much, and my mother thanks you too.
Yes, well, if you knew Jackson, then you knew Jonah. Please give Jonah my regards.
I will. When I send the letter back home, I will let him know.
And again, if you need anything, any service in this city, I'm the man for you.
That is good to know.
Yes. We'll keep that in mind.
Just like I said last, any place you need to get into, any information you need, come to me.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Mahoney.
And Mahoney chomps on his cigar and goes back to his desk and sits down, pulls some papers out, and he's kind of just flipping through these papers. He's trying to basically get himself caught up to speed on the Egyptian murders for his new customers.
When should we call back? Or,
And he looks up from his papers. Give old Jonesy a day or two. You should have everything you need by then.
Oh, a day or two, you say?
Well, yes, either one day or two. It's a day or two.
Well, let's hope for the one day.
I will have him work on it day and night until it's done. Let's hope for tomorrow.
Yes. Let's do hope for tomorrow.
Yes, we will venture to come back tomorrow in the
Mickey
afternoon.
roots through his desk for a minute, and then he finally messes with some things on top of his desk, flipping some papers over until he finds a business card and slides it across. You can call me here, or you know where I am.
Thank you. Natalya will take the card and hand it over to Shelley.
oh, I'll keep this nice and safe.
She puts it in her purse.
Well, I suppose if we're done here, we shouldn't take up any more of this man's important time.
Of course not. There's many things to research. Again, thank you for meeting with us, Mr. Mahoney. It is good to meet you.
Well, the pleasure was all mine, lass. Thank you very much for coming into my office. It was a good day, and I'm sorry that if I drive a hard bargain, but you know how it is these days. Business is business.
Yeah. Yes, business is business.
Of course. We bid you good day.
And Mickey goes back to doing some paperwork at his desk.
And you can see Jones is sitting kind of on the corner of his desk lighting a pipe. And just kind of looks up at you as you leave Mahoney's office. And he says his attention seems to be directed at Natalya specifically. He says, "Don't worry, lass, I'll have what I can find for you by tomorrow."
Well, it is much appreciated. I'm sorry, you said your name was?
I'm Alan Jones. Pleasure. He puts his hand out.
Pleasure's all mine, Alan. Natalia will shake his hand.
And as you're shaking his hand from inside the office, you just hear, "Jonesy! Jonesy!"
He just ignores him. And he says, "It was a great pleasure meeting you. I really hope I can see you maybe after for a drink." tomorrow.
I would like that.
I can help you go through the papers and such.
Of course. It would be good to have someone to help fully understand everything you discover.
He smiles and puffs on his pipe a little bit. And he says, well, enjoy the weather while you can.
We will. Thank you again, Alan.
And he just nods. And then nods to the other two ladies and just says, ladies. And then nods at Thaddeus.
Thaddeus as he nods at him. Pretty sure that your boss was calling for you.
Oh, was he?
You're Jonesy, right?
So I'm
you're
told.
supposed to be finding stuff.
That's what they call me anyway. He takes another drink, and you can see him go to Mahoney's office and say, I thought I was supposed to be working day and night on that article. Or the articles you wanted. You guys leaving now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Alright, you are back out on the street.
Well, Natalya, you seem to be quite the hit here in the UK.
Apparently, I think being Russian might be exotic to these people.
Yes, well, you're turning heads in New York as well. There was a detective, if I remember correctly.
Ah, yes, the detective who I'm very sure was in leagues with that group that we found in the basement. Not sure, wasn't really interested in him, just what he knew, but hopefully Jonesy is not the same.
Well, you know how I feel. We don't trust that many because we don't know how far the reach goes.
No, just trying to get what he knows, maybe see if I can get a bit extra information that he would not normally give. That kind of thing.
Well, who knows? If you aren't careful, you might end up enjoying yourself.
I've enjoyed myself a few times, Shelley. Usually do not end up in the best way.
Well, if you don't allow yourself to let your hair down every once in a while, then what's the point?
Then you get a headache.
Exactly.
Speaking of headaches, maybe we should head to that expo? Seems a good time to maybe take some time to relax a bit. I know that I, for one, need it. A bit too much time poring over manuscripts and notes is leaving me with some bad dreams.
Oh, I'd love to do that. I know we were going to try to catch Inspector Barrington. We can do that later or tomorrow. I know that every time we talk about going to the expo, by the time we're done, it's too late to make it out of the...
Well,
That is right. Perhaps we should put off to the inspector. I don't think he's going anywhere. We can see the expo, kind of enjoy ourselves for a day.
yes, and if we get that information earlier tomorrow, then we can go to the investigator with better questions, more insights.
Yes.
Yes. Shelley turns to Alice. I don't know if that's quite what you had in mind for today, but from what I understand, there's quite a lot of, Egyptology going on at the expo. If we do see something, I'm sure your expertise would be helpful.
Yes, I'm aware that the Penhew Foundation has donated a few exhibits to the event. My father used to take me, but it's been a number of years since those days. I think I would quite like the distraction for the day at least. Why are you wishing to speak to an investigator? Is it about the murders?
Yes, he's listed here. See? And she holds up the newspaper right here. John Barrington, he's the investigator who was in charge of this string of murders, apparently. At least according to this article, and after having been at the scoop, I'm not sure how much credibility we can lend to that, but I'm sure they would have not gotten the police officer's name too wrong.
I hope so. I'm afraid the Scoop doesn't have the best reputation in London, but hopefully they do have a little integrity, at least. But that's something we can worry about tomorrow as we meet with them again and this investigator.
Yes.
For now, I assume we must taxi to the ground.
Yes, it's northwest of the city. It's probably a 45-minute drive.
And for once, the day is clear, or at least it's started out that way.
It's a little cloudy, but it's not raining.
Yes, it's actually fairly nice today.
I wonder how long we're going to be here before we think to buy an umbrella.
That is a good point. Maybe they will have fancy little umbrellas at the expo.
Alice has an umbrella.
Of course she
She
does.
brought it just in case.
I don't know if we can afford an umbrella after spending all that money over at the scoop.
Yes,
Shelley says, giving Thaddeus a little look.
your poor grandmother.
Oh, she does need her medicine.
Yes. I
Yeah.
don't know how you did that, Thaddeus, but that was some impressive talking down.
I never knew the power of... Oh, so... 50, so you say. You say 50 pounds. Is that all it takes, just to repeat the number back?
Apparently that is the power of negotiation for Americans.
It is a old haggling trick. It's very effective in certain times.
Natalia will smile and start trying to hail a cab.
It's not hard to get one. And they will take you to the expo. So I'm going to call a brief intermission. And we'll come back at the expo.
Okie dokie. I'll be back in a minute. I drink.
Hopefully that
All
works.
right.
That's it. Yeah, that's iffy.
And we are back. Well, it's worth a try. So we are back. And you do make it to the exhibit. It is a huge exhibit that stretches out over a couple of miles, all told. I mean, it's a huge affair. Certainly the Egyptian one is probably the one you are most interested in, but the whole idea of this exhibit is that it is representative of the entirety, at least as much as possible, of the British presence in the world. So if it is a colony or a protectorate of England, it is represented somehow, even if it's a small exhibit, somewhere on these grounds. So kind of proving that the sun never sets on the empire. Yeah, look at all the places we've ravished. Exactly. But here's just kind of to give you an idea of what it looks like in the Egyptian part. you can see the two massive statues that were commissioned for the exhibit, and all the people gawking at the sphinxes and things as you wander about.
Oh,
Natalia kind of
my.
looks at everything, yeah, with awe.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that if Benjamin was here, he'd be snapping photos left and right.
And who is Benjamin?
Oh, he was a friend that we have. There's been some unfortunate incidents that have basically made it so he has left this expedition we're having. He's at home right now taking care of his wife.
Yes.
That is unfortunate, but it's a understandable sacrifice that must be made to care for your family.
Yes.
Hi. This is also... I wish I knew how to operate a camera, and that I had a camera. Miss Hall, how authentic? I mean, obviously, I know that these are replications, that they're not imports, but do they seem to stand to the... Is it something that you might see in Egypt?
There are some, yes, some of the sphinxes you might see around in Egypt. However, they are perhaps quite grander in scale. Nothing that can be constructed and placed in affairs such as this will ever truly hold up to the history and the grandness of the true article. But for giving a sense of Egypt, I believe that this is doing a fair enough job.
There's definitely plenty of placards and little, you know, photographic essays too here and there of various archaeological digs that have uncovered, you know, the pyramids and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of interesting information. And any of you who would actually pay attention to that, I will allow you to check off your archaeology skill.
Well, Shelley's gonna pay attention. She's actually gonna ask, where was it that the Carlisle expedition was headed to?
Oh,
They ended up in Kenya. However, they should have been in Egypt.
That always
yes.
confused me.
I think some of the notes that we do have, basically the Colorado expedition is best understood if you kind of follow their journey to Egypt first. Is, you know, a lot of things that they were investigating seemed very Egyptian in nature, but the actual, as far as I understand, the tribe, the Bloody Tongues tribe, was actually in Kenya, and if I remember correctly, and she always has her notebook with her, and she kind of flips it open, starts flipping to certain pages. I need to organize this better. I have the place. Adalbear. That's where the Black Wind group is. I think they were heading towards there. And that is in Kenya.
Oh. So, none of these excavations were anything that they were interested in.
There was rumors that they were interested in another expedition. It was just rumors, of course. They departed England if I remember correctly, it was they were in search of, or it was rumored that they were in search of the legendary wealth in the lost mines of King Solomon, but that was untrue.
Ah. Do you know anything about it, Miss Hall? I'm trying to think, I suppose, if we're going to go to Egypt, what would we be looking for exactly, and where would we start?
I don't know any of this extra information that they're talking about, right?
Um, you certainly heard that one of the common kind of hyped speculations about the expedition was that they were looking for the lost, Solomon's mines, which is ridiculous. That's certainly not what they were there for, as you understood. They were headed to Giza, looking for Third Dynasty artifacts. That's what you were told. And then there's also, some other little things that you know that you've
Okay.
already discussed. But that's, but that was, really what the expedition was supposed to go to Giza and then Saqqara. Those were the two sites that they were going to excavate.
As far
Is
as
that-
I'm aware, the treasures of King Solomon and the mines of King Solomon were a bit of a distraction and affront. They were truly planning on going to Giza and what was the other place?
Saqqara.
And Saqqara, and looking for relics of the Third Dynasty.
Oh, I wonder if there's anything related here. Is that where you would start if you were going to go researching this Black Pharaoh in Egypt?
Where in Egypt are those three pyramids that I know of?
That's actually near Dashur. So that is different.
It's near Dashur.
So yeah, Giza and Saqqara, those are a couple of the most over-excavated places in Egypt right now. Dashur was not as tapped,
Gotcha.
but that's where those three are that you know about.
Okay. I certainly wouldn't go to Giza or Saqqara. They've been excavated a great deal over the past 100 years or so. From my research, a lot of the Black Pharaoh and Sneferu information and artifacts are found in Dashur, in Sneferu's three pyramids, and I would quite like to start my investigation there.
That would be a good idea. Yes.
Well, you'll have to show me that on a map sometime, because I certainly have no idea where it is. But maybe you will be able to spot anyone here who's doing research and, putting on any sort of a display about that area at the expo.
Not entirely sure that we'll find anything on Dashur and Sneferu's pyramids, but I'll keep an eye out.
So, I keep forgetting. Alice, do you know how many years ago that everyone got so obsessed with Egyptology?
Was fairly recent, honestly, within the past 50 years or so. In the early 1800s, Napoleon was able to conquer Egypt, and through that was able to bring many artifacts and writings to Europe in a great amount for the first time ever. And from there, a general interest increased, but Egyptology wasn't so much a field that was founded until the mid 1800s.
And this obsession has been the last 50 years. It's been going strong since.
I would say within the past 30 to 50 years is when it's gotten really popular and has exploded in a manner such as this.
Interesting. Something else we might need to keep an eye for, and I'm not sure if we want to get involved, maybe to look more into it, but see if we can exactly pinpoint and find out, because I think obviously once we have some more revelations about the investigation tomorrow, what exact... There's definitely some sort of cult that is within the city. I think the murders that the scoop was talking about are very similar to the ritualistic murders back in New York. See exactly what they're planning, as the full moon is in a few weeks, or the new moon's in a few weeks, I should say. Try to figure out exactly who they are and what they're planning, and maybe this time we can be more prepared to stop it.
As Natalia reminds Shelley that these cultists could be anywhere, she starts looking around nervously. And from now on, she's going to take a special note of anyone who has one of those particular shaped machetes. There might be people dressed up here in any sort of costume, I'm assuming.
Well, I wonder if it's safe to assume that with the collection at the Panhu Foundation, that possibly that anything cult-wise, maybe there's some association there, as with somebody who comes and frequents and does a lot of research.
Could be. Yes, keep an eye out for those kind of people. It's a good idea, Thaddeus. But maybe I'm just paranoid, but I do have some uneasy feelings about the gentleman we spoke to the other day. He,
Mr. Gavigan?
yes. Mr. Gavigan, You know him better than we do, Alice.
I do, and I would say he's not a man to be trusted or
Good to know.
listened to in any great amount. I feel like he hides much, but I don't have the resources or the ability to challenge him on the things that I believe he is hiding.
It might be best not to, though.
If he does have any connection to these dangerous people, I think that your tactic that you took the last time we were there is probably the wisest, Natalia, to seem as amateurish and
Dumb.
yes, and just the tag-alongs with the rich American playboy taking an interest in the current Egyptian fads.
Yes, playing I find that most men prefer women who don't know very much or attempt to seem like they know things but end up embarrassing themselves.
Yes. Like the
Oh,
whole rice
is
soup
that...
thing.
Hmm?
Like the whole rice soup thing. You kind of pay too much attention to that. It's my breakfast.
Yes, but that is... We are basically family at this point, and I will judge you on your liquid diet as much as I can.
Yeah, she's gonna wink and smile. But this seems to be the way to move around here, and he's kind of looking around. You never know who might be watching.
Of course, just do your best. Look like the tourists that you are. Read the pamphlets, the information, um, and we'll keep an eye out, see if we find anything interesting.
Yes. But, for now, let's keep it a bit, more lighthearted. We can keep looking. I'm greatly interested in all of this. Do they have a Kenyan exhibit? I am unsure.
Well, I don't know. Are you sure that you want to go there if they do?
I want to look into it at least.
Very well. But if we're going to do any of enjoying ourselves, I think we should maybe see if there's some cart selling Egyptian cuisine and get Thaddeus some food in his stomach.
That's a great idea, Shelley. I could do something unhealthy.
Alright, well that's easy enough. There's definitely food from all the different places here. That's a big popular moneymaker.
Well, I will find some vendors and drain Thaddeus's pot.
Alright, easy enough.
Buy all the sweets.
Yes. I'm sure it's all delicious.
Just make sure
Uh,
to eat it.
As they go and get food, Alice is gonna hang back and kind of keep looking at the Egyptian exhibit,
Okay.
kind of seeing if she comes across anything new or like reading things to just see what information is there.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing, honestly. There's just not... There's nothing very impressive. You know, you've seen most of this stuff before, and it's also, in some cases, just very, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of
Elementary.
commercialized. Yeah, it's really not very impressive, honestly. It's for public consumption. It's not for anyone like you.
Yeah, that's what I figured the case would be, but she's kind of hanging out in that area.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll eventually come back with some food on a stick and whatnot for Alice.
Oh,
You should...
thank you.
Have you tried these? The spices are so different from what I'm used to.
I have had Egyptian food before, but it's been quite some time. It's Not easy to find it in England, unfortunately.
Hmm. Well, have you seen anything interesting here, Miss Hall? I'm sure it's all interesting to me, but perhaps to you it all seems a bit silly.
That would be a accurate assessment. Yes. Everything here is just a bit commercialized. There's not really any substance to it. Which is unfortunate, but this isn't an exhibit that's here for someone like me. It's more for the common man and woman.
Shelley smiles. Well, I suppose that's me then. um,
And by all
Al-
means, please do enjoy.
Alice, looking around, that these exhibits are basically uh, the state's attempt to show how great they are across the globe. That their ability to dominate and control different nations and different areas is a wonderful thing. And this is essentially, this is propaganda. It's something that you recognize as propaganda, being a true historian and a truly educated person. You realize that.
Yeah.
well,
So essentially just trying
Certain,
to show off how great the British government is and how much they're helping the world and all that.
certainly you notice in some of the exhibits that the people in charge of the individual exhibits seem to care about the cultures they are representing, but certainly the overall effect is an attempt to, um, project British greatness, and that they are the center of the world, essentially.
Yeah.
well, if we're to play the part of the tourist, then I suppose we should play the part. If we've pretty much seen everything there is there, I think I'll maybe pick up a few trinkets, and then we can see if there's a Kenyan exhibit.
Yes, maybe get an umbrella or something from here.
Yeah, we'll look for some sort of umbrella and maybe, a scarab pin or something.
They have masks.
Alice is just gonna kind of follow after them and
All
let
right.
them lead the way.
An
So-
Egyptian umbrella is probably like a parasol, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yes.
a palm frond. Yeah. So as you're looking at trinkets and walking through, you notice a woman kind of staring at you curiously, and she's in a booth. And above the booth it says, in kind of gaudy writing, Miss Jasmine Pink, Seer of Wonders.
Oh,
Definitely going over there.
Oh, yes. Yes, that
Yes.
looks like a palm reader type.
I enjoy this.
Come,
Is
Miss
she
Hall,
looking at-
let's see if there's a dark, handsome man in your future.
Sure. Natalya and I guess Shelly will hustle over there.
So you hustle over there and you see, her small little area. It's almost like a tented area. She has little statuettes around her, and she has some incense burning, some candles lit. She's sitting there, and as you walk in, She raises her eyes from the where she's sitting. She's sitting at a table. The table has red felt over the top, and on top of the table is a big glass bulb, a crystal ball sitting on top of the table, with the light reflecting from the candles inside the crystal ball. She raises her eyes and looks at you. Ladies, come in, please.
Of course. I will come in with Shelly, kind of smiling over at her.
Yeah. And Shelley's takes her arm and they both enter together, I suppose.
Mm.
Shelley will look
She's-
back at Alice and kind of gesture, come on.
Alice kind of rolls her eyes, but will follow after.
Yes.
She stands to greet you, and she goes from each of you one by one and gives you all a sincere hug. She puts her arms around you and she pulls you in tight and actually gives you a squeeze as she hugs you. And it feels warm and natural and sincere. As she releases you, she steps back with her arms, her hands still on your shoulders, and she looks you in the eye. Each one of you. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't comment, but she goes from each of you, squeezing your shoulders, standing at arm's length away, and looking at each of you directly in the eyes. And then she motions for you to have seats around her table.
Shelley will take her seat, and as subtly as she can, she'll put her purse in her lap and open it up and see if anything's missing.
Yeah, Natalia will sit down, putting her notebook and everything on her lap.
Alice looks at the both of them strangely after that entire encounter, but she too will take a seat, feeling a bit awkward.
After you all sit down, she, already sitting, looks across from you with the crystal ball in between you and her. She's wearing fine silk clothes with a purple collar, green sleeves. It's all very bright and colorful. And she looks at you across the smoke from the incense. Why have you sought me out tonight?
Well, I don't think that I've ever been in a place like this before, and I think we were curious. Very much seemed like you wanted us to come over here.
And she looks at you and she bends her head just slightly as if curious. And she says, "Did I want you to come here?" That's a good question. Maybe I did. We won't know though. Maybe you wanted to come here. Shall we find out? And she smiles as she says, "Shall we find out?" Smiles and looks directly into your eyes.
And Sally gives a little bit of a nervous smile, but she nods. Yeah, let us find out. I'm very intrigued.
Well, I also am intrigued now. This is an adventure, isn't it? Who sought who? Very good. Very good adventure indeed. Let's find out together. And she looks at the other two, at Alice and Shelley. Shall we all find out together?
Oh, let's... Do we need to cross your palms with silver?
Cross palms with silver? Oh, payment. I see what you're saying. No. No, dear. And she looks around her. If, for any reason, I do something that you appreciate, well, maybe you can tip me afterwards, but let's not sully this whole experience right now with that.
Oh, very well. Tell us what we should be doing then.
Well, let's start with names. How about it? My name is Miss Jasmine Pink.
I'm Natalya.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Alice.
Well, Alice, I can assume from your accent that you are a local here. You are one of us. And she kind of laughs at that.
I am.
Shelley, you seem to be one of the Yanks. Am I right?
You right on the first guess. Yes, I am.
And Natalya, you seem to be one of our friends out east. Am I correct?
The
Da. Yes, well. Everyone, please, have a seat around my table. And she motions to the table and the chairs.
They're all sitting.
Yeah, we're all sitting.
Okay. So she looks at you and she's just smiling the whole time. Please hold each other's hands. And then she puts her hands out to whoever is on the ends.
And Tally's probably on one of the ends, and
I think Alice is on the other.
yeah, so hold hands with Miss Pink and Shelley.
So Miss Pink grabs their hands, and her hands are soft. There's nothing rough about them. You can tell she hasn't done any kind of physical or manual labor. She has just very soft, smooth hands. As you hold her hands, she tells you to lower your heads. Lower your heads and close your eyes.
Shelley will do it, and she kind of squeezes her purse between her legs.
Yeah, Natalya will put her head down and close her eyes.
Alice looks bored and untrusting, but she's gonna do it.
Miss Alice,
Yes.
what brought you here today?
Largely these two and the man outside. They wanted to see the grounds.
Miss Shelley, what brought you here today?
I wanted to get a taste of Egypt, I suppose. Relieve some of the stress of our past few days. More than that.
And Miss Natalya, what brought you here today?
Well, my interest in Egyptian culture, again, like Shelley, trying to find some sort of fun and relaxation after our travels.
After your travels, do you mean from the States?
Yes.
And Miss Jasmine, you see as she's talking to you, she just is slowly, in a relaxed motion, kind of leaning forward and back, and forward and back. Miss Natalya, do you know anyone here?
Here in the city or in this room?
Well, in this city, of course. This is where you are at.
No, but I'm getting to know people.
And you, Miss Shelley, do you know anyone in this city?
Oh, well, no one that I haven't met in the past few days.
And you, Miss Alice? I think you know people here. You seem to be from here.
Of course, I grew up in London. I know quite a few people.
Anyone that you miss?
I suppose you can say that.
Who do you miss, Miss Alice?
I miss my father. I miss my mother sometimes, even though I never knew her. But unfortunately, they're both dead.
And you, Miss Shelley, who do you miss?
Suddenly feels a bit less fun to her.
My husband passed quite recently.
And of course you miss him. You miss him greatly.
She doesn't say anything. She just nods with her eyes closed.
And that hurts. It hurts so much. And you, Miss Natalya, who do you miss?
I miss my daughter. Back in the States, and some dear friends who are past.
Some dear friends that have passed. Dear friends. Dear friends. Who are your dear friends, Miss Natalya?
A man named Frank, and another man named Jackson.
And suddenly her hands let go of yours and she grabs hold of her crystal ball. And she's gripping it. And she's gripping her crystal ball tightly. Her knuckles are white. You've opened your eyes to look at her just because it was so sudden. Frank! He gave up everything for you. And she's just kind of wavering back and forth as she grips the glass ball on her table with white knuckles, just squeezing it. Everything for you.
Shelley's eyes pop open when she starts talking about Frank, and she's staring at Miss Pink, trying to figure out how she knows about Frank.
And Miss Pink's head shoots back and she looks up at the ceiling. And as her head shoots back and looks up at the ceiling, holding the crystal ball, she reaches up and grabs her temples, as if she has a horrible headache. There are eyes all around you. There are eyes everywhere in the darkness. They're watching you. They're watching you. And she's holding the sides of her head.
What eyes? How do you know this? What do you mean?
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Are they here?
And then she pulls her hands off her temples, and she gets almost a deep guttural voice. And for just a moment, she's... And then it changes suddenly. And she says, Nat, I can't seem to find my pipe, Nat. I can't find my pipe, Nat. I don't know where my pipe is, Nat. I can't. And then her head twists and she pulls her hands away from her temple. And she forces her way from the table, and she's blinking, and tears are coming down her eyes. And she looks at the three of you, confused. Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
You need to leave now! Get out! And she's frantic and upset.
What in the...
Get out!
All right. All right, all right. Shelley'll get up, shaking a little bit, and take her purse and kind of tug on the other girls.
Yeah, Natalya quickly grabs
Yeah.
her notes.
Alice leaves with them.
As you leave through the curtains of the tent, you see Miss Jasmine Pink sit down at the table with her hands at the side of her head, tears coming down her face, not knowing just what had happened to her, confused, frustrated, and angry, until the curtain closes completely and you don't see her anymore.
That was an experience, to say the least. She kind of looks back towards the curtain, a bit afraid and still confused.
I don't know what to think. It's possible that there are people here who know quite a bit about us, but she didn't seem the sort who would be trying to hurt us.
Natalya. She's gonna biting her lower lip, shaking her head a bit. Arms crossed. Arms around the notes, and seems to be holding in something. I don't know how she got in touch with Jackson. I don't know what that was.
Did it sound like Jackson?
Natalia nods, still looking at the ground. Yes. It did.
Some guy walking by kind of looks at the three of you and glances over at the sign, and you look like you got quite a shock. And when you don't smile back, he just kind of his smile kind of drops, and he just kind of tips his hat and begging your pardon, and walks on.
What was that about eyes watching you always?
I don't know, but I think I'd like to go back to the hotel.
Perhaps this has been enough fun for one day. Shelley will look for Thaddeus.
That is to be wandering, just staring at things.
Thaddeus, I think it's time to head back.
Oh, hope it was a pretty riveting experience. He's gonna look over and kind of see Ty and everybody looking a little sad. My, what happened?
Disturbing.
She knew things that either meant that she had some sort of gift or knows more about us than I'm comfortable with for other reasons.
Well then, let's make haste and go back to the hotel and kind of looks around. I do believe we could find a cab by going this way.
Okay. Not hard to get a cab from here. There's lots of business. And you return to the hotel.
When they get back. During the cab, they probably wouldn't talk about it because there's a cab driver who probably can hear everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Natalia seems pretty subdued. Just kind of looking out the window and not really talking much.
That woman, she asked us some questions and then she spoke to Natalya in a voice that apparently sounded like Mr. Elias. It gave us all quite a shock. Shelley's deliberately leaving out the part about Frank.
Very peculiar.
Shelley and Natalia, I would like a sanity check for each of you. Alice, you're fine. There was nothing
Yeah, I
particularly
don't know what any of
personal
this
there.
means.
Yeah.
You're fine. You're
How's my
fine.
sanity so high?
Well, if it wasn't for all the things that have happened to us, and I feel like that maybe she wrote you like a book, but we just don't know anymore.
Well, it could be that she had some connection to the cultists, I suppose.
Yes, well, she was staring at us. It is possible we are made.
One thing she said, and I don't know if it was meant to spook us or what she meant by it, but she said that there were eyes all around us watching us.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I I don't think I'll discredit anything actually maybe watching us. Or at least maybe sensing that we're here. I I don't know if it's related. Um I told Thaddeus that I've been having these dreams for a while now. Since the night the encounter with that energy thing in the parlor. And last night, there was some figure above my bed. Kept calling me little sister. Kept telling me to come to him. I couldn't move. So it got closer and closer. Got onto the bed with me. It was greatly disturbing. I couldn't sleep after that, but with these dreams, I do not discount. There is something that's aware.
You're certain this was a dream? There wasn't really anyone in your room?
I'm sure.
Sleep paralysis, I think I've heard that called. That sounds terrifying. Did you recognize the man in your
No,
dream?
he had some sort of accent, I think. Similar.
That makes sense, I suppose. Did back in that place at the Juju house, did he, that man, the leader there, did he call you little sister?
No,
But he did seem to think that there is a connection, that you belonged with them, right?
yes, they did think that I belonged with them, for me to join them.
Natalya, you do not belong with them. And she smiles a little, just in case you were wondering.
Good to know that the two of you, Alice Shelley, you've had at least one, or you saw each other. Have you had any more?
Shelley shakes her head. It was an interesting experience, and I have to admit, after it, I'm more hesitant to dismiss your dreams as just leftovers from our experiences.
I haven't had any more, but this all seems crazy to me. I honestly don't even know where to begin with all the questions I have on the things you have been through. Seems like I have a lot to catch up on.
Oh, you and me both. I'm a scientist, but I'm trying to keep an open mind. I know that there are many things in this universe that science can't explain, at least not yet. These dreams seem to be one of them.
It seems to be a common theme for those right before they go off and die somewhere.
Yes.
Jackson, Roger Carlyle. Pretty sure Augustus Larkin had them as well.
Another theme, at least from what I can tell from the notes, is these people starting to think that this Black Pharaoh or this whatever, this supernatural force has miracles and knowledge and great blessings to bestow on them, sucking them in. I think that if we can avoid that particular pitfall, then we have some chance of finding the truth and making it out alive and sanity intact.
I do hope so. I'm not sure if it's going to be wholly possible, because if we see another underground group attempting to sacrifice people, I think that kind of thing weighs on the mind. Getting more into it, believing more of what's going on, I don't think it is the most sane thing, but it is necessary.
I think that might be true, but I think the real danger is starting to think that it's the right way, that these cultists, that the lure of all this knowledge and mystery overcomes the common sense, those things that we know to be true, and that is what they're doing is evil and wrong.
Yes, as long as we don't fall for the lure, hopefully we'll be okay, at least mentally.
During this exchange, Shelley is looking at Natalya and just nodding, sort of checking her expression. She's a little concerned at, her, how obsessed she is with all the, staying up late and everything, studying it all the time.
She seems Like she's trying to maintain some sort of this kind of blankness, maintaining more of a monotone voice. She's not really looking up at Shelley. She's still more looking out towards the window than anything as she's talking, occasionally glancing over at the others, but she seems to be thinking as well.
Well, we may have enough time in the day to see Inspector Barrington, but perhaps we should get some rest before we try to tackle that.
Yes, and Natalya stated it'd be better to have more answers to our questions. The way can formulate what we want to ask the detective.
I am partial to resting a bit more.
I think that will give me a good bit of time to still do some personal research that I'm wanting to look into. I'd be quite willing to meet with you again tomorrow on your journey to speak with this inspector.
Perhaps we can meet downstairs again tomorrow at the same time.
Would you like me to put you in your hotel?
Yes. We're attempting at least to make a bit of a ritual out of having breakfast together. Would be nice if you joined us.
We're hoping that one of these days Thaddeus will actually eat some of it.
I prefer to keep it light for breakfast.
I'd
As
be
long as you
happy
eat
to
during
join.
the day. Oh, we'd be happy to have you. Alice, if you'd like to stay for a bit longer, if you want to look over the Carlisle files.
She kind of looks at you a bit surprised as you offer that. Yes, I would be happy to. Thank you.
Of course. I'm getting together some notes myself to give to both you and Shelley. Some things that I've discovered and put together. What I think of clues that link up, give us a better picture of exactly what's going on.
Yes, that long ride to the expo gave me a chance to look over some of it. I have a suggestion, Natalya. You've been having difficulty sleeping. I wonder if you might sleep better if I stayed with you in your room, just maybe for tonight. Maybe that would... I know you're a private person, but maybe it would
No.
give your mind.
Shelley, I was going to ask you the same thing. I think having someone around might be nice. Maybe I can actually sleep for one.
Shelley smiles. Well, good then, it's settled.
And Talia kind of smiles and goes over to where she has the Carlisle files and hands them over to Alice. I would make notes while reading. There's quite a bit taken.
Of course. And she's gonna grab some papers and her pen and start going through the files slowly, carefully, and trying to digest everything that it says. And potentially what it means.
Yes. When you're done, I'd be very interested in your take on any similarity. I know that most of this happened in the Kenya, but I don't know, things that might strike a chord is similar to the writings on the Black Pharaoh.
Yes, I'll be sure to keep you informed as I read through this and step away with my thoughts.
All right, then
Me
it
too.
sounds like Alice is going to pore over the notes and for a little while, which if there's stuff you want to look at or talk about, you can do that between sessions then and catch you up. And then unless there's more for the evening, we'll just assume you all kind of take separate dinners and try to get some sleep.
Yeah, Shelley's gonna stay in Natalia's room, and she's actually gonna stay awake until she sees Natalia fall asleep. Just kind of watch
Yeah.
over her and make sure she gets a couple hours of good sound sleep before she falls asleep.
Natalia's gonna have a few drinks before bed this time. Taking a leaflet out of Thaddeus's book.
Alice, I imagine she isn't supposed to take the Carlisle file out of the hotel.
No.
So she's probably gonna be there all night and reading through that.
Okay. All right. Well, Shelley, Natalya does kind of fall asleep rather quickly. She got almost no sleep the night before, so she's rather exhausted. She does start dreaming early on while you're kind of sitting there. So it's actually a little early for you because you got a good night's sleep the night before. She does kind of murmur a little bit. Can you make a listen check for me? Yeah, you're not really sure what it is that she's muttering. It's a little indistinct. It may even be in Russian. You're not sure. But it's her initial sleep is a little fitful, but she does stay asleep and doesn't seem to have any nightmares. And then you drift off, and you awake in the morning, and Natalya is awake, but seems like she's better than she was the night before. Natalya, you don't remember any particular dreams. You feel a little more rested than you did the day before, but and I'm gonna call a quick little intermission again, and we'll come back.
Soon.
And we're back. And we're gonna move ahead to breakfast time. In case there's anything that you need to discuss before heading out, I assume you are going to go back to the scoop this morning, or are you going to go visit the inspector first?
To the scoop.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, it looks a lot better this morning. No real, just the minor bags under her eyes, but everything's nice and pressed in terms of her outfit, ponytail straight. And she's a bit more lively this morning.
Excellent.
Shelley seems a bit more cheerful than the previous morning as well, despite yesterday's weirdness.
Man, that is, looks like he's a tired type of move. Look down.
I assume he ordered some room service in the middle of the night or something.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you can eat any time here. And
Well?
I would imagine Alice has dark circles under her eyes.
Yeah, she looks She looks exhausted.
Were you here all night?
Uh, yes, I was. I just wanted to look over that file and do some research.
Hmm.
I think I still need to digest it for a while before I can give my thought.
It's quite a lot. Ought to be careful burning the candle at both ends.
Shelley butters some scones and puts them on Thaddeus's plate.
We should, maybe not take too long. Get over to the scoop and see what he's found before talking to the inspector.
Thaddeus
Yes.
is gonna look down at the scone. Ah, yes. Perhaps we should make haste.
Yes, it's got a few quick things to go. She kind of grabs a biscuit, a few biscuits, and puts them in a purse.
All right. Then you can make your way out to the lobby. It is raining today.
Shelley will walk over to the concierge.
Pardon me.
Yes. How can
Does
I
the
assist you?
hotel happen to provide any umbrellas?
He says, ordinarily, I'd say no, but there are a couple of umbrellas in our lost and found that no one's claimed for a bit. Did you perhaps lose one? He smiles.
I think we might have lost one or two. I certainly can't find them in my room.
He says, a moment, and he disappears back into a little room and comes out with a box, and he puts a couple of umbrellas out, and one of them
thank
is
you.
one of them is definitely a man's black umbrella, and another is a kind of floral pattern.
These do look familiar. Now
I'm
if my-
so happy I could reunite them with their owner.
If ours turn up, I'll certainly return these here. So, thank you. We'll see you later.
Don't trouble yourself.
She'll walk back over to the group, brandishing the umbrella.
Perfect. Thank you, Shelley.
She'll hand the frilly one to Thaddeus.
But I, for one, never mind get a little wet. Not made of sugar.
She laughs. Oh, here, and she'll hand him the dark one. So picky, you rich boys.
You didn't even have to pay for this one.
No, trust me. I think I'm paying for it in the long run.
Are you all short on funds?
Yes, we are quite poor.
Shelley says it's more short on planning. We keep forgetting to pick up umbrellas. That's all.
I see.
Well, now that we are a little more prepared, let's be off.
Yes.
All right. You take a taxi ride through the rain and deposit at the scoop. So let us return there. Everyone is hard at work again. When you walk in, Mr. Jones looks up rather expectantly. Natalya, make a spot hidden for me, please.
Okay. I have to spot hidden. Oh, there it is. Oh, well.
How about a psychology roll?
Okay. That's better. Yeah.
Oh my. Uh,
You left him speechless.
Yeah.
I have no speech. I have no mouth, and I must scream. All right. So, yes, you walk in, and he rises from his desk, and he says, delighted to see you again.
It is good to see you too.
All of
Alan.
you, that is. He kind of nods at all of you.
I see that you were expecting us. I assume it is good news.
He says, well, I know my way around the archives. And he's got a little box that he has assembled with some old newspapers, and he says, I've rounded up all the articles that I could find from the scoop over the last 3 years that mention the Egyptian murders. That's as far back as I could find anything. And I talked to Mickey, and he doesn't remember anything from prior to 3 years ago, so I think I covered it all. And he goes over and he starts pulling newspapers out and kind of distributing them to you.
So this goes back 3 years.
He says, aye, it does. He says, I count 19 incidents in all.
My goodness.
19 deaths?
Aye, that's right, 19. It was in this issue here, and he pulls out one. He says, this was the 3rd incident. That's when the papers, we started calling it the Egyptian murders, and I guess everyone was doing it at that time.
Why did they call them the Egyptian murders?
Well, if you look through the articles, you'll see that almost all the victims were Egyptian nationals, not English.
Oh goodness.
Two Englishmen, but the rest Egyptian.
Is there a large Egyptian population within England itself?
He kind of grimaces a little. He says, I don't know if I'd call it large. I mean, there's people from all around around the world here. Wherever you find the British Union Jack, you're going to find the people that come back here, want to make a better life here. But I wouldn't say it's a huge population, no.
Was there any...
Go ahead.
Was there anything obvious that connected the victims besides there being Egyptian, or something that connected the Egyptians to the British that were also killed?
Well, no one knows that. I mean, the articles don't say.
Shelley scribbles down the names of the British people that were killed.
Yeah, that takes a little time to go through and find all that stuff. But yeah, he's very helpfully, made sure it's easy to find, if there's a follow-on from the front page and all that. The thing is, there's not a lot of information. The one that I don't have any new newspapers to share with you. The one you got is pretty representative of the stories. The very first one is kind of sensationalized. Someone was found murdered in the street, the body just dumped there and beaten badly. That is one of the common threads through all the stories, is that the victims have all been beaten up pretty horribly, with many bruises all over their bodies, and apparently stabbed through the heart. That's a common thread.
Interesting.
Jonesy!
Oh, good God, what is it now?
Jonesy!
I'll be right back. And he goes to the door and he goes, "What do you want, Mick?"
Our guests here.
You can see it as plain as I.
Well, send them in then.
I don't know they're here to see you. They want to look at their little papers.
Well, they're paying me for those papers, aren't they?
And you're paying me. Sure enough, I'll send them in. He goes back to you and he just kind of thumbs towards the office. He says, "The old man wants to see you."
Ah, looks like it's time to pay the piper, Thaddeus. Yes.
Yes.
It's time to make sure Grandma doesn't have her medicine for her legs.
Poor legs.
He kind of winks at Natalya though and says, "The only payment I require is payment in tea, maybe a cup of tea after."
Sure, I would like that.
Jonesy, send them in.
I told him already.
We'll be at it in a moment.
Better go in before he has a frickin' heart attack.
We will. Thank you.
Yeah, there's some this way there.
So you walk in and Mickey Mahoney is sitting behind his desk. He's chomping on a cigar. Well, did my man give you what you wanted?
Well, we didn't get a chance to look through it, so we don't know if it's what we wanted or not.
Well, I don't know if there's anything else out there. He looked up everything he could. It's all there.
Yes, so you say. But deal's a deal. Here's your 35 pounds.
Now, I don't mean to put any pressure on you, sir, but there was some extra work that went into this. You wouldn't even know. I mean, we went high, we went low, we went all night long. 40 pounds will cover it all. 40 pounds, just 5 more on top of what you already promised, but it would cover everything that we have done.
Shelley bites her lip. She digs into her purse and she says, I don't know if we can scrape up that much at the moment, but I do have these leftover scones from breakfast." Puts them on the desk.
Alex kind of pokes his head, or Alan pokes his head in and says, "Stop trying to fleece these poor folk, Mickey. You already got all you need from them. And you didn't work all night. You went home right at 5. I
Jonesy,
did all the
get
work.
your ass out of here. We're having discussions here. It's business. Nothing you know about. Get out of here.
He kind of shrugs and goes back in the other room.
Excuse me, folks. Excuse me. That young man, he does business. But, of course, you and me, and he's looking at that, yes, you and me, we know about businessness. We are businessmen, and we can take care of this here.
Yes, I do believe you were talking about 30 pounds.
30 pounds. No, no. No, no, no. I believe I was talking about going up to 40 pounds from the 35. Are you
I'm sorry, did,
following me, sir?
did I hear you correctly? You said 25 pounds now.
I see what you're doing here. No, there is no way this office could stay in business if we did that. It is 40 pounds or nothing.
20 pounds. Okay, 20 pounds we have a deal.
Now, you just heard me. I know you're being smart now, you fucking Yanks. It is 35 pounds or nothing.
I see. So 25 pounds or nothing.
This is indescribable. This is despicable. I can't believe you're doing this. I already told you, 35 pounds or nothing. That is it. Final offer.
Okay. Let's reach in and pull out his 35 pounds and hand it to him.
See, now, I knew you'd come my way. Very good, now. Jonesy will get you everything you need. The paperwork is all there.
Yes.
You don't have to worry anything.
Excellent. But we'll look him over. Shame. I thought you were gonna ask for more. I was ready to give you more, but
Jones pokes his head in again and says, "So you're gonna give him that other article you found, Mickey? Are you gonna hold out for more money for that too?"
Oh, that's right. I have another article. Do you want this one too? I mean, it might go along with the ones I've given you already. But this one here, now, this one is special. This one here has details. This one here is worth another 40 pounds.
oh, 40 pounds you say? Well, after I look over these, it's quite possible maybe that might be worth 40 pounds.
Well, after you look over those and you realize there is some missing information, you will definitely want this one here, worth 45 pounds.
Well, we shall see. As of right now, do not feel that it may have information that I need, because I don't know what information I need, because I haven't seen what's missing from all the articles here.
He chomps on his cigar and sits back at his chair and puts his hands interwoven with his fingers behind his head, clasped behind his head. Very well, well, you look at the information you have. But once you do, if you need this, it will be here for you. For 50 pounds.
I see. Well, then I should be in touch.
Very good, then. We'll be here for you.
Make a spot hidden check for me. No. Tough to see a date, but you do see that it is not a scoop newspaper. It's a different paper.
Can she see which paper, or just that it's not the same format as the scoop?
She
It's,
failed her
it's
spot
the
hidden
daily. It's the Daily Mirror. And he actually sees you looking at it and kind of tucks it away.
You know, Mr. Mahoney, I've appreciated just the amount of work that you've put in, especially on such short notice.
Such
for us.
short notice.
Yes.
Such short notice.
Yes, and I'm sure that that Jackson would have greatly appreciated everything that you've done so far, and you know, limiting this investigation by holding back information like this is it's not really conducive to what we're doing, and you know, I'm sure it might not be looked upon the best.
I understand, lass. I wish I could help you even more, but I have this information here, and unfortunately, this information is worth £60.
And
Oh.
Jones says, "So what you're saying, Mick, is that you could help these kind people, but you won't do it till they pay you money? Is that what I'm hearing?" 'Cause
No,
you're-
I'm just saying that I won't give them what is necessary until I am paid what is due me for the work that is put in.
You know,
There is work that has been
well,
put
well,
into
I
this,
saw you,
and
Mick.
everyone...
You rooted around
know-
in your desk drawer. It took you all of 5 minutes to find it.
Shut up, Jonesy!
Just saying. Let's keep it honest. You're an honest
Get
man,
back
right,
to work,
Mickey?
Jonesy.
You're an honest man. Good, decent, hard-working man, right?
Just like Mr. Thaddeus over here. Mr. Thaddeus, you said you were a good, honest man. Well, here is something that is worth some good, honest money. You tell me, what is it worth?
Well, let me see it and I'll tell you what it's worth.
And he pulls some papers out from his desk and he slides them across to you with his fingertips on them. And as you go to take a look, he immediately pulls them back. Ah! These might be worth something, yes, sir. Jonesy seems to think so. Jonesy seems to think that we should just give them to you.
Yes, well, I have a tendency to agree with what your friend Jonesy.
Yes, well, this is, we were thinking a free exchange of information might benefit both our parties, but this
Did
is
you
giving me an
just say
idea.
free?
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Exchange.
As obviously that's not the way we do things here in London. So as we
Listen,
uncover things in
lady.
our investigation, we should charge money. We'll make it back in. We could go to the Mirror. Perhaps they'd be interested. Just sell it to the highest bidder.
yes, I mean, we already have information on when the killings are happening. I mean,
If you
Thank you, Mr.
think
Mahoney.
that-
I'm inspired.
If
Yes.
you think anyone else in this godforsaken place thinks that this is worth any money, they would have been running it by now. This is how the paper works. This is how the media works. If it is worth money, they would be splashing it across their front pages. But alas, that are not. No, alas, that are not doing this. Do you know why? Because there's no money to be made. But I'm trying to change that.
Well, Darius will look at Shelley. The Mirror, you say?
Yes, the Mirror.
I wonder if they got the articles as well.
Jones says, "Oh, they're a very reputable paper. I've heard all about them. I know I have a friend there, in fact."
Very well. £50, I'll give it to you.
Darius gonna look at Mickey. Well, I'll tell you what. If it's worth £50, I will be back to pay you £50. But I suppose that we should shop around now.
Well, if you're going to be shopping around, You might as well shop right here. 30 pounds, and that's my final offer.
Uh, well, I do believe I gave you my last of my pounds that I had in my pocket.
I don't give
know
a
for some more.
goddamn fuck about your sick mother. 30 pounds.
Jones says,
And
language, Mick, language. There's ladies here. You lost your mind.
I don't give a hoot's ass about your mother. 30 pounds,
Embarrassment.
and it's yours.
I'll give you a pound for it.
Jonesy, lock it up. And don't let them ever see it.
Here,
Yes.
I'll take that. Lock it away. He takes it out.
I take.
He reaches out to take it. He says,
Mickey pushes the papers across the desk.
yeah, he says, sorry, mix orders. And he takes it and goes out to the other room with it.
30 pounds you couldn't pay.
He winks at
Yes.
Natalya as he goes out.
Well, I guess that's that then, Mr. Mahoney.
That's that then, Mr. Thaddeus Pepin.
Yes. And he's gonna look
And-
over at Natalya and Shelley.
And you can see Jones opening a drawer in his desk and very ostentatiously putting some papers in there and locking them up, but it's not the papers that Mahoney gave him.
Mickey turns around and goes back into his office, slams his door shut. You just hear him mumbling in there.
Did you hear what he said about my mother?
I know you're not like the mother. Poor woman.
Jones says, he says, you'll have to forgive him. When he sees pound signs, he gets a little crazy. Otherwise, he's not really a bad chap.
Yes, he seems a bit greedy, but at least he was slightly helpful.
He says, anyway, here's the article. He puts it out on his desk. He says, he had it in his desk, don't know why.
Well, and she'll kind of look down at it. This is... Thank you. This is great. Oh goodness. She's gonna push it over to the others. Well, since apparently 20 to 60 pounds is the cost of this, maybe dinner would also be appropriate.
He says, I'm not really much of one for extortion, unlike my employer there, and he kind of puts his thumb back. But if you're offering, I'm not gonna say no.
Well, I think it would be better than just tea.
He actually kind of blushes and looks a little uncomfortable at that. But he says, well, how about we start with tea, and then have dinner.
Of course. When would be a appropriate time for you? I see you're hard at work.
I can take a wee break around 2 for some tea, and we could have dinner, I don't know, say 7 o'clock.
Yes, that would be That'd be nice. We should be finishing our other business up by 2, so I can meet you back here.
Sounds good, sounds good. He says, suppose I should tell you my name's not really Jones. It's just what I go by. Really McIntyre. In case you haven't noticed, I'm Irish.
Oh, yes, not at all. I think all of you sound the same. I'm
Well,
kidding, of course.
Certainly hope not.
Well, Alan, thank you again. And, I'll see you later.
Aye. He kind of nods.
Jonesy!
He does take back the article, though.
Ah.
He has to kind of keep that.
Mm-hmm.
He says,
Shelley had
Jonesy,
been
get
looking
into
at it
my
after
office!
Natalia handed it.
Yeah. Alright. He apologizes and goes to Mahoney's office. And he says, what do you want now, old man? I'm just busy making sure they don't try to break into my desk and get at that 40-pound article you had me stash.
But make sure you're hiding it properly, sir.
Alright. And you pile out into the rain.
Well, that was, interesting.
Yes. I suppose maybe it was silly to bicker over the money, but certainly more satisfying than giving him what he wanted.
Yes, he seemed like a very greedy individual.
Yeah.
So I did manage to make a few notes about that. About that article, just mostly names. Got the tilesman who attacked Mr. Gavigan. Said something about his wife had died in a fire, and Adam Cross was the informant on this article. Anyway, I don't know what that means, but maybe Mr. Tilesman had a reason for attacking Mr. Gavigan, and maybe we could talk to him at some point.
Yes, do you think that, Mr. Tilesman is hopefully not in jail?
Oh, he might either in jail or in a sanatorium, an asylum. He apparently was raving and needed to be restrained at the time of his arrest, so I think there's a good chance of either.
Yeah, the article was from 4 years ago. You don't see the date on the paper, but it was a 4-year-old article.
Well, looks like you have a date.
Yes, seems so. Hopefully the talk with the investigator, doesn't go too long, or I might leave a little early.
Yes. You know, something that had occurred to me. I wonder if your new friend, Alan, would know anyone who might, when we feel we need it, tail us. After that woman at the fair, and speaking of all the eyes watching us and our concerns about the locals, cultists, I don't know. I guess I'm a little worried that we're being followed, and I wonder if we paid someone to follow us, if they might notice anyone watching us.
That is That's a great idea.
What do you think, Thaddeus? Alice?
Well, I don't think it could hurt.
Yes, yes. She just kind of like offers a small dismissive kind of response. It doesn't really feel like she's paying attention. It's somewhere else.
Oh, well, maybe you can talk about that possibility with Alan. He may know some people that he can recommend. Some people that can be discreet.
I'll make sure to bring it up. This article kind of does make me feel even more strongly that Mr. Gavigan is part of the group that might be killing people in the city. Or at least knows of them.
It didn't make a direct connection between Tilesman's wife's death and Mr. Gavigan, but that certainly occurred.
Yeah. If we could find Mr. Talisman, maybe he can fill in the gaps for us.
I would be wary is the only thing with looking into Mr. Tilesman. If we start attempting to inquire about him, going to sanatoriums, attempting to find him, it could arouse suspicion.
Well, maybe we could do it indirectly again. Maybe if you think we can trust Alan.
Yes, I will speak to him. If things go well, then I'll see if he can get us in touch, or at least get some questions answered.
Yes.
I just have to attempt to keep him out of the majority of it. I do not wish to drag him into this.
Yeah, probably the less information we can give him about the big picture.
Yes, and then I'm not imagining with him being a reporter for a non-respectable newspaper company that nobody will bat an eyelash at him questioning things.
Exactly. I just hope that I'm assuming it's some sort of cult in the city, does not turn eyes towards him, or really any of us. Though I do have concerns regarding, before we left New York, telling the police chief where we were going.
Did we tell? I don't recall. Did we tell?
Yes, he knew we were leaving the country, but he wasn't expecting us to leave till much later. But it won't take long for things to be put together, I'm sure.
Yes, we just need to keep eyes out for the apparent other eyes that are following us. Well, in the meantime, maybe we should get out of this rain and go see the investigator.
right.
Yes.
This is the time to stop then, and we will pick up with a visit to Inspector Barrington next time.
Oh, come on. Go back to the page.